Hey, what is up, you guys? Coach Joey coming in. It's about 7:45 in the morning. I'm heading to the gym on July 13th. It's a Wednesday. But I wanted to come in with a message to add to our nutrition series. So I've been trying to stay on top of this every week. I think we're in like week 6 or 7. And if you haven't had an opportunity to look back at the other videos and you're trying to get on track with your nutrition, I highly recommend looking at them in order, because they're meant to be stacked upon, meaning that once you get to where you can successfully complete one part and you become pretty consistent and it becomes habitual, it's good to move on to the next one. So today we're going to talk about some of the common mistakes that people make once they are kind of in full swing and they're doing the things that they need to do. And these are things that I commonly see that'll knock people off track, and there's 2 of them. The first one is what I refer to as the snowball effect, and I've talked about this in the past. And literally what this is let's say you're somebody who's definitely committed to, living a healthier life. You've been on track with your nutrition. Let's say you're 6 or 8 weeks in. You haven't had any hiccups. You're feeling good about yourself. You're starting to notice some change. And then what happens is, let's say Friday evening rolls around and it's your best friend's birthday. So it's usually associated around an event of some sort. You go out of town, you're on vacation, you're on a cruise, friend's birthday, wedding, whatever the case is. So you go to said event, and let's say you fall off. You have some drinks, you eat something that's not really healthy for you, maybe eat some dessert or whatever the case is. So your Friday night, you just completely obliterate everything that you've been doing, which realistically isn't the end of the world. But then what ends up happening is you wake up the next day, you tell yourself, hey, screw it, I've been doing really well, I'll just start over on Monday. So that's mistake number 1, that you've already validated yourself a reason to just eat like crap. And then usually when people do that, they're going to even eat more of the bad stuff than they normally would, because they're like, well, I'll get back on track on Monday and I've been doing well. So you kind of validate your reason for going into this, lull of healthy eating and whatnot. So with all good intentions, you wake up Monday, you get ready to start fresh. You wake up in the morning, you have your 2 egg whites and oatmeal, and you get to your office, and let's say somebody brought in donuts, and you can't resist. You just eat one of those donuts, and it's the 23rd of the month, and you look down at your calendar, and you're like, well, I've been doing good. I'll just start back over on the 1st of next month. But you can see the pattern that happens here is it ends up putting you into this cycle of validating your success, or using your success to validate the reason that you're not going to continue to stay on track with your nutrition, and then it becomes detrimental over the long term, and you essentially will end up right where you started, or even in a worse situation. So that's mistake number 1. I refer to that as a snowball effect. Avoid that. If you have a bad weekend, or a bad day, or a bad meal. I'm more of a meal person. So if you have one bad meal in the course of your healthy eating, it's not the end of the world. But here's the thing, you can't have a bad meal every weekend, because then you're essentially not committing to your nutrition. This, I'm saying, if it happens, once every 6 months or 4 months or whatever the case is, don't use it as a reason to just continue to, eat poorly, all right? That's number 1. Number 2 is, people will set a goal typically when they start. So most of the time it's going to be weight related. So I want to lose X amount of pounds or whatever it is. I'm obviously involved in CrossFit and strength and conditioning and sport performance training. So weight on a scale necessarily isn't the number 1 indicator, but let's go with that. Let's go with weight. So what happens is somebody starts their journey of healthy eating, and they want to lose, 20 pounds. And then what ends up happening is they'll get, like, let's say 3 months in, and they've gotten to where maybe they lost 10 or 12 pounds, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. So they've noticed a considerable change in their body composition. They're looking different. Their clothes are fitting better, They're operating a little bit on a higher level in the gym. But then what ends up happening is they become complacent with that. So then it becomes like, well, I'm going to eat well, but I'm going to eat kind of well. So they go from eating something like, let's say chicken breast, broccoli, and a half a sweet potato for dinner, and now they're going to stop and get half a whole wheat sub at Publix, or they're going to stop and make some whole wheat pasta with some meatballs or something like that, which sounds healthy on the surface, but in retrospect, it's not obviously the best option. So what ends up happening is they get to that point of complacency, and then they start giving themselves lax as far as 100% commitment to their nutrition and their fitness goals, and they just end up getting stuck there in the lull. And people will say, well, I've had a plateau, And not to say that plateaus don't happen in fitness and health and well-being in general, but it's normally not because you're still doing the exact same things that you were doing. You've given yourself a little bit of lax because you've become comfortable and complacent with where you are. All right, you guys. So I hope this video helps you out. If you're somebody who falls into this category, maybe open your mind up a little bit and try to get yourself back on track. If you guys ever have questions about anything related to nutrition or fitness, you guys know you can always stop by the gym at CrossFit Ocala. So I hope to see everyone shortly. Have a good one.